What's going on, YouTube? So the Honda Pilot has long been a family favorite since it first debuted in the early 2000s.
But now, about 20 years later, another strong rival has emerged, the Kia Telluride. And we want to know today, which one of these two models is the best pick? Well, let's go ahead and find out. The Pilot and Telluride have many trims that cover a multitude of price points. But for today's comparison, we'll be looking at two of the volume selling trims, setting under the $50,000 price point. More on the full price breakdown later, but if you're looking to buy either one, make sure to check out carconfections.com/newcarquotes to get the best price and access to invoice pricing information. Let's get started with the exterior designs, where Honda and Kia have taken different routes when it comes to general appeal. While the Honda is more subdued, even with the larger grille and new scuff plate design for 2026, the Kia is really bold. They made the new Telluride boxier and tougher looking, especially with the blacked out X-Line version. The wheels certainly also reflect this difference in design philosophy, where the Pilot features simple 18-inch alloys, while the Telluride has big and bold 21-inch alloys. We don't score the appearance of the vehicles, but let us know in the comments below if you prefer your family SUV to be modest or memorable. What we do score are all the various features and differences, so let's get into those. Starting with the headlights, both models feature full LED arrangements, but the Telluride uses a more premium projector LED unit over the reflectors on the Pilot. Both also have LED fog lamps, something several rivals have largely eliminated. Moving to the sides, just 1 inch separates them in length, making them some of the larger options for the segment. Similar length doesn't guarantee similar space though, so we will approach any packaging and cargo differences later on in this comparison. The rears are also quite different in design, and the Kia has some feature advantages over the Pilot, including a more protected wiper and fully LED tail lamps over just one LED element on the Honda. Both models have large branding and spoilers, and only the Pilot has the design touch of exposed exhaust outlets. By the way, feel free to keep your own score along the way, based on what's most important to you. For towing, these models, as equipped, can haul an equivalent 5,000 pounds. Next up, let's head to the mirrors, where both of them have heating and blind spot monitoring, but only the Telluride includes power folding. Safety is especially important for family SUVs though, and I'm happy to say that each of them has the standard active safety features you'd expect, even including highway steering assist systems to make those long family road trips less stressful and more enjoyable. That concludes the outside, so let's check out the updated interiors. But first,
If you're new here, we're brothers and we've been reviewing cars since we were 12
and 16.
We started young, and since then we've reviewed over 2,000 cars at every price point. No matter what you're looking for, from our long-term vehicle videos to our side-by-side comparisons, we'd love for you to subscribe to be a part of our Car Confections family.
Let's learn a lot and have some fun with all the latest cars. Approaching both, they have smart entry and remote start on the fob. One more stop before getting inside, as the Telluride now has flush door handles that pop out on approach for the new generation. Opening the doors, the Telluride has a completely new cabin, and the Pilot sees several important upgrades. Let's begin with the seats, where the Telluride has opted for a full Syntex faux leather seat on all the mid and upper trims for this new model. While certainly not uncomfortable, it's less supple than the real leather you find on the Pilot. Functionality-wise, they both have 8 ways of adjustment, heating, and memory settings. However, the Telluride also adds in seat ventilation and 2 extra ways of lumbar adjustment. Hopping inside, we can talk about the broad item of cabin quality, which we'll divide into solidity and material selection. Both models exhibit excellent build quality and fit and finish, as expected from Honda and Kia these days. When it comes to materials though, the Telluride pulls ahead. It uses more luxurious trim pieces, soft touch plastics, and leatherette wrapping throughout the cabin. Overall, it's the nicer place to be, over the more utilitarian Pilot. After startup, you'll be greeted by digital gauge clusters, but only the Honda's allows for full customization at this price point, including being able to put a map display in there. As we pull back to the steering wheels, despite an asymmetry issue for the Kia, the steering wheels are both leather-wrapped and manual adjusting. But the Telluride also adds in heating at this price point. Now the next major subject to evaluate is interior storage, broken into both the center console and extra cubbies throughout. When it comes to console space, with our signature donut test, these two crossovers are both quite spacious, fitting 19 donuts in the Telluride and 20 in the Pilot, meaning they're neck and neck. Moving forward, both models show their family-friendly nature, with lots of extra cubbies, including a passenger storage shelf on the Pilot and pass-through storage on the Telluride. We'll call this category even. But I do want to point out that the Telluride's console arrangement allows for an extra wireless phone charger to keep your passenger covered as well. To attain the additional space, both use electronic shifters, and in reverse, they display standard backup camera systems, both with active trajectory. For the 3-zone climate systems, both offer physical controls for the main settings. But the Honda has all the climate settings physically rendered, as compared to some of the controls being in a 5-inch climate touchscreen for the Kia. They also have physical volume controls, so let's test their audio systems. With almost the same number of speakers and no branding as equipped, we'll call this category even. Now to the central screens, which have very important upgrades this year. Honda moved the Pilot to a larger 12.3-inch screen this year, and also added Google built-in for native access to apps like Google Maps. The Kia also has a 12.3-inch screen, but it does not have any Google apps. What improved a lot for the all-new Telluride, though, is the fact that it finally has wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, just like the Pilot. If you are a user of XM satellite radio, be advised that Honda has removed that functionality across their lineup. Up top, both include auto-dimming rearview mirrors, but only the Telluride includes a sunroof here. Now let's see if there are any packaging differences in the back seats. Starting with the second row seat space, headroom is pretty close, but the Telluride has a legroom advantage over 5% to score a point. The Honda has long been one of the most practical options, so this is a big win for Kia. Of course though, both of them will be plenty comfortable for passengers. Both have quite a few shared features as well, like sliding and reclining seats that have access to climate controls, USBs, sunshades, and vents. However, the Pilot has a seating trick up its sleeve. While the Telluride is locked into 7-passenger seating on this trim, the Pilot has a removable seat that also serves as a console. This allows for on-demand 7 or 8-passenger seating, something the Kia cannot do. Entering the third row, only the Telluride seats slide forward without folding the seat back, which means many child seats won't have to be removed. Space figures in both configurations are within a 5% margin, as neither are class leaders in this respect. But they manage decently comfortable third rows with features like reclining seats, USBs, and cup holders. Heading to the cargo holds, let's pop open the tailgates and check out the differences, of which only the Kia's has hands-free ability. The measured figures are all within the 5% threshold, except for behind the third rows, where the Kia measures in larger. Perhaps because of how flat the rear design is, they are able to keep 3 extra inches of space behind the third row in the Telluride, which adds to the cargo capacity as well. Both of them have manual folding for the third rows, significant underfloor storage compartments, and spare tires. But that's it for the interiors. So now let's take them out on the road where there are even more changes to discuss. Prior to their most recent changes, the Telluride and Pilot had more in common than not for their engine setups. But that's no longer the case, as the new Kia trades in its V6 for a turbocharged 4-cylinder engine. Compared to the Honda, which continues with the V6, the Telluride has less horsepower but more torque. At the end of the day, acceleration is very similar, so everything balances out ultimately. Alrighty, that is 60 miles per hour. So of course, let's jump right into, one of the more controversial things about this all-new 2027 Kia Telluride. You heard us talk about it a bit at the spec dump, but the previous generation had a V6, and now for this new generation, they have switched to a turbocharged 4-cylinder engine as the standard engine. So this is a 2.5 liter turbo 4. It's making 274 horsepower and 311 pound-feet of torque. That takes us up to 60 miles per hour in the Honda Pilot. So of course, we talked about this a little bit at the beginning. The Pilot actually just comes in one powertrain. That didn't change with the 2026 refresh. So you continue to find a 3.5 liter V6 engine, making 285 horsepower and 262 pound-feet of torque. This is a pretty powerful engine. Power figures are pretty much in line with most of the competition, whether that be a V6 competitor or a turbocharged 4-cylinder competitor. Upon acceleration, you might notice that the Pilot will retain a more luxurious and refined sound from its V6 engine. Now, as far as the transmissions are concerned, the Kia and Honda have 8 and 10-speed automatics respectively, with all-wheel drive systems as equipped. Performance is smooth in each, and off-road trims are available if you need even more capability.
For those of you that really love that V6 refinement, I will say you kind of miss out on that experience here. The Hyundai Palisade kept a V6 in its all-new generation. That's not going to be the case here for the Telluride, so I will say that some of the noise entering into the cabin is definitely not as refined. Yeah, and I have to say, just sitting here in the passenger seat, I love the refinement of this engine. I really think that that's one of the Pilot's strongest elements, is the fact that this V6 sounds and feels so refined even under hard acceleration.
Let's talk about the other aspect of the powertrain, the transmission, of course. This has got an 8-speed automatic transmission. We have to say, over this past week of owning this vehicle, really a smooth transmission. It does an excellent job of just blending into the background. You never really feel like you're waiting on it to shift or anything like that. Now, as far as the transmission is concerned, we've got a 10-speed automatic transmission. Shifts in this are nice and smooth. Honda uses this in several other applications, and overall, it's an easy transmission to live with. Now for ride quality and handling. Honda bakes in its sporty heritage into every model, meaning the Pilot will feel more balanced and controlled down a back road. The Telluride also feels smaller than it actually is, but will still give the edge to the Pilot overall. Additionally, the Pilot is one of the most comfortable offerings in the segment for ride quality, soaking up the majority of the road imperfections. And that gets even more impressive with this EXL trim on 18-inch wheels. While the Telluride isn't uncomfortable by any means, the Pilot will top it here.
One of the things that I am impressed by when it comes to this EXL Pilot is the ride quality. I think that's absolutely fantastic on this model. We've been spending all morning long with this version, and I have to say, the seats are incredibly comfortable. The suspension is tuned in typical Honda fashion to have a really comfortable ride over long distances. And since we have really kind of small wheels on the outside, those 18-inch wheels, that really increases your ride quality even more than I think the highest end versions of the Pilot. So if you want the best riding Pilot, I think this EXL actually might be it. We've been on all types of roads, and Overall, the ride quality of this model is very good. Now, I will say very good because it's not exactly as good as some of the competition. Some of the other rivals, such as the Honda Pilot, the Hyundai Palisade, I do feel like give you better ride quality overall than this model, but this is far from uncomfortable, that's for sure. It's definitely very good ride quality. The seats are comfy.
Here at Car Confections, something we like to do is take sound level readings for all the models we test so that we can compare them. Neither are the quietest options in this segment, but the Telluride is noticeably quieter than the Pilot. Like many Hondas, we find that they use less sound deadening materials than rivals and use less on the lower trims.
$57.5. 63.4 decibels is what we are sitting at as our sound level reading.
Finally, when it comes to fuel economy, it's surprisingly the Pilot's V6 that is rated slightly better for fuel economy than the Kia's Turbo 4, though it's not by enough to make a scoreable difference. The Kia also adds a newly available hybrid system this year for more power and efficiency, something the Pilot does not offer. In our reviews and comparisons, we're also adding in reliability and resale information to give you a better picture of the overall value beyond just the original MSRP. Beginning with reliability, we developed the Combined Reliability Index, which takes into account several studies from trustworthy sources and combines them in a way that gives a more realistic picture. Honda is one of the highest rated brands in the industry, setting 13 slots above industry average, awarding it plus 2.6 points. Meanwhile, Kia is 6 slots above industry average, adding to its score 1.2 points. However, the Kia has a large warranty advantage in both basic and powertrain offerings. Only Honda, though, has 1 year of complimentary maintenance. We also put Mason's economics degree to work to develop a detailed predicted resale value tool. After 5 years and 60,000 miles, Honda again leads the pack, with its expected resale value at 64.79% of MSRP after 5 years, while Kia comes in at 49%. That's a 3-point advantage for the Pilot. Now let's break down the cost of these two and evaluate how much value each model is delivering. As we mentioned at the beginning, these two models are equipped at a very similar price point that most people shop in, and they're even called almost the same thing: Pilot EXL and Telluride EX X-Line. With a much more digestible price than their almost $60,000 top trims, these models, just under $49,000, serve as reminders that value can be had in the volume selling trims as well. As there's only a slight $290 price difference between these two, there will be no value points awarded today. We want to emphasize that if money, reliability, or resale value matters less to you personally, feel free to disregard these points.
So there you have it, the objective winner. Do you agree? Here are a couple things to consider when picking each one for you personally, and then which one we'd put in our driveways. I'll start with the Pilot. You might want to pick that if you're looking for V6 refinement, and that also gets slightly better fuel economy overall, the seating capacity advantages we discussed, and also resale and reliability.
Now, on the flip side, you should pick the Telluride if you want additional second row comfort and also really additional features throughout. Kias are, of course, known for giving you a lot of value for the money, and you'll have things like ventilated seats where you can't get that until a higher end Pilot. Now, we want to know which one you all would take in the comments down below. And speaking of the advantages one has over the other, we would encourage you to go to carconfections.com/vehicle rankings. We've looked at all the 3-row midsize SUVs on the market and ranked them in the most important categories to this type of buyer, things like 3rd row, cargo, technology, luxury features, powertrain experience, and of course value. And you can see the best options in each of those categories and see how the list changes up. So if you want to make an informed buying decision, definitely check out carconfections.com/vehicle rankings. But which SUV would we put in our driveway?
I think I speak for both of us by saying we would pick the Telluride. Well, you actually own the Telluride that was in this video.
Maybe that's a little biased, but definitely in this comparison, I would pick the Telluride. That is for sure. And guys, that's going to wrap up this comparison. Hopefully you enjoyed. If you did, we'd appreciate you subscribing down below and becoming a part of our family. Also, if you're looking to buy either one of these SUVs or any new vehicle, we'd like to also encourage you to go to carconfections.com/newcarquotes. The reason you should do that is because we have a tool on our website that'll connect you with local car dealers in your area to get you the best price. It's also going to give you access to invoice pricing information, which is a great tool to use while dealership negotiating. If you'd like to take advantage of that, as well as things like our monthly payment tool, you can find a link to that down below in our video description, as well as a pinned comment at the top of this video. Guys, that's all. Thanks so much for tuning in. We appreciate your continued support, and we'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies.